After two excellent presentations, grand presentations by the grand seniors in the industry, it's a very challenging thing always to keep people engaged, the audience engaged. But I will try my level best to keep the things quick and fast within the given time. So we are going to discuss well-aligned subject as what to do to revive fast after COVID-19. And the tool which I will be explaining will be the theory of constraints. And how have we will be taking definitely a case study where we have done it as a case study to do it with less of cost with a Pune-based company, and we'll be taking that exhibition. We'll take you through that case study as well. So let me quickly start with the presentation. The TOC, the concept has been evolved by Mr. Eliyahu Goldratt is his name, and this is you must have read the book The Goal. It is a latest management philosophy introduced by Dr. Eli Goldratt in 1984. The book was the best sellers in the world by then, and it actually focused an approach to process improvement by focusing on the bottleneck. So going ahead, in case if we look at a typical business life cycle, it passes through three different phases of profit versus time. When a product is introduced, in the initial stages, there are less of competition, and the product or the business goes through high profit per unit, and in the phase A, wherein there are less of competition. At one point of time, the profit starts plateauing down, and here it becomes a commodity. Although the volumes remain the good, but there are Me Too products being introduced in this zone B, wherein you face a lot of competition, and then subsequently when it reaches to a zone C, the profits and the volumes start dropping. You face a lot of competition here. Your overhead starts increasing, your fixed cost increases, and eventually this is a time well assessed to be exiting the business. The point which I'm trying to drive is this yellow dot is the correct time for you to reinvent your product, services, or the entire business, to identify a new business life cycle and keep your business on this red arrow. How to do that? That's what has been explained in this book, The Goal. It's a very easy reading book. Please go through it. It's a worthwhile keeping it and gifting it to the next slide. What is the basic philosophy on which Mr. Eli Goldratt has said upon is anybody and everybody, for that matter, any business on this earth has three basic goals: is to earn money. To earn money for today, to earn money for tomorrow, and to earn money in harmony. As rightly said in the previous presentations, for today, earning money is equivalent to generating profit. For tomorrow is to ensure our business is in profitable conditions running, and in harmony means a proper cash flow is enabled. So in post-COVID situation or during COVID situations, you may observe that in your business, profit may have taken a hit. Profitability can be a little delayed because of extended cashes being locked in the system or the business going down. The most important thing which Mr. Pokarkar also emphasized upon is to keep your cash flow enabled. That's what is going to keep your business harmony alive. And that's the area where we are going to focus more in this presentation, today's presentation. Yes, there are ways to increase profit as well as profitability. But the government is coming out with various schemes, as Mr. Pokarkar explained, that cash flow has to be increased and there are schemes available from the government. But eventually, please question yourself, this is eventually going to be a borrowing. You will have to return it with a cost, and that cost will be developed or built upon your selling price of the product. So eventually your customer is going to pay for that. How about a scheme if this cost is not to be incurred, if the business generates its own cash flow additional by following a particular simple step and the cash flow is enabled easily. Let's look at how can we do it. So conventionally, there is no rocket science. Correct business model revolves around customer satisfaction. As Mr. Chandelier also said, as I said, organizational goal is to generate profit, profitability, and cash flow, or earn money today, tomorrow, and in harmony. It starts from the customer need satisfaction. Customer need satisfaction, you got to understand what is a customer need. Customer can express his needs and he may have some unexpressed needs. I call them as super needs. Please understand, a customer can say, I have a product A in the market being offered from your customer, from your competitor. I have your product B, which is inferior to your competitor's product. So I am buying product A from your competitor. You have an express need from your end consumer. So that's good enough for you to take some action upon it. But when the customer is saying, I want something different, I don't know what is it about. So he himself is not aware of it, and you should be in a position to identify that need, and that is what I call it as disruptive business model. Just think about 10 years back or 15 years back, did you as a consumer or a customer ask for a touchscreen mobile phone? It was a Nokia, well enough to satisfy all your communication needs, but BlackBerry came in and it gave an entirely disruptive business model and it sailed, and in no time Apple came out with an iPhone with an unexpressed need, a super need, and satisfied. And it's again, last week it is the biggest richest company in the world. So that's what I call it as unexpressed need. And if you are able to identify this unexpressed need, design a solution towards it, create a model, offer it to the end consumer, take a feedback on it quickly, you have a satisfied customer with you, which in turn is a happy customer who pays happily to offer products and services. And this eventually helps you to achieve your goal of organization to earn money for today and tomorrow without taking significant risks. That means, of course, harmony. So I hope this correct business model is understood, which eventually satisfies the organizational goal by satisfying the customer need. Let's move forward. I often hear senior management talk that there are many constraints in their company to increase profit. If you notice, I have highlighted this word, this letter S. So this statement itself is incorrect. There are constraints. S is not there. Let's take an example. Any chain when pulled from the both ends, it eventually breaks. Somewhere it breaks, in the first link, in the last link, in the middle link, but it definitely breaks on the weakest link. Okay, it may break anywhere, but it will definitely break at the weakest link. And the second qualification of this breaking is it breaks at only one point at a time. So this S, which the senior management always talks about, is a little false statement, unassessed statement. So one point is the critical most point, and then what we are claiming as the strength of the chain is equivalent to the strength of the weakest link of the chain. I will repeat it. Strength of the chain is equal to the strength of the weakest link of the chain. Okay. So what we have done in turn is identified the area within the chain in the entire process where to concentrate, more so where not to concentrate upon. Please understand, we are defining where not to concentrate upon also. So we call it as a bottleneck to focus upon. This brings in a lot of clarity within the organization, within senior management, across organization, in middle management, in ground floor, in the frontline management as well, where to focus upon. And let's look at how to do it. What we try to do is we try to map the value lost in the process. As Shandila sir said, it's about not getting an order and processing the material and supplying it in the marketplace. It's about generating the need part, identifying that need, and getting the cash back in the system. I have just taken a simple example of 5 machines, simple, no rocket science example, A, B, C, D, E, with 5 different processing capacities. If you see 20 units per time, 15 units per time, it can be any unit per any time for that matter. But we are keeping it constant as a unit. So what happens if 20 units per time is pushed into or being processed by A? It produces 20, passes it on to B. B is in position to process only 15 units per time, processes 15, passes it on to C. Same happens with C. It passes it on to D. Now have a look at the situation, what is happening. D is in a position to process only 10 units per time. It passes it on to E. Now have you been able to understand? E has only 20 units per time to process, but it can process only 10 units per time because it has got only 10 as the input. So there is a loss of capacity utilization out here, apparently. I am not claiming it as a truth, but how we'll go through it. So eventually, even though the highest capacity to process in this unit is somewhere around 20 units per time at 2 locations, it can process only 10 units per time because their bottleneck is here, and in bargain they have created wastage here. Okay, now let's look at what a typical organizational problem arises. You will find it everywhere and anywhere and everywhere for that matter. Again, the same example, you will often find typical mistakes by the senior management being taken, like orders are booked in excess, generally 20% to maximize maximum capacity available. So here we have a maximum capacity of 20 here, 20 here. So senior management says, okay, we have 20 units processing time, so please book the orders. And they book 24 units per time orders. Delivery commitments and times quantities start failing. Why? Let's look at why. Again, if you have order of 24, you got to purchase raw material in excess to match the orders. The raw material is purchased. This raw material supplier is an external person. He is happy to supply you more, but okay, fine, 24 is purchased. Now, as we saw last time, processed through A is 20 units. Inventory before bottleneck is highest, the waste. It remains here, as here. The wastage is being created. How much? Now, if you see, often the sales officers are avoiding to go to the market. Why? Because the customer is asking for them for supplying the material from the previous orders. These sales officers are often sitting on the bottleneck, saying that please process my material first. My customer is after me. I am not able to go to face him and get the money from him because his order is locked. And till the time we don't supply him the material, he will not pay us and give us new fresh order. So this person is under pressure. And here is a talent wasted. Senior management is always scolding these people, why are you not going to the market? But okay, that's what is the typical problem which is occurring in any organization. This person, as I said, is always in stress. He is questioning the senior management. Should I process this person's material? Should I process this person's material, or whose sales material first? You tell me. He is the person who often batches the lots. He collects the purchase order data from the previous month pending, current month orders, as well as the future orders which have been proposed by the sales managers to be sold, and he makes a single batch and he runs that batch for 15 days. and rest of the commitments for this month are failing. So this person says, okay, I am trying to do less of shifting of lot size by increasing the lot size so that I can produce more. But that's not the correct solution for this. This person is always into the stress. Then harmony is lost in the organization. This person is always under the pressure, saying that why are you not utilizing your 20 units per ton capacity? There is an apparent underutilization capacity. This is confusion. He says, I am in a perfect position to give you 20 units. Please give me as an input of 10 units per time. I am okay. I will give it. Why are you deducting my salary for not achieving that that KRA? That's not my fault. So there is a confusion in the society, in the organization, and eventually what is happening is the entire organization, the senior management is worried and confused. What's happening in the organization? They increase borrowing, interest rates. Understand? Who is earning out of this stock? It has not been sold as yet. This stock is being paid by the stock interest rate has been paid to the bankers. This raw material supplier is standing in front of the finance manager, CFO, on the 30th day of maturity of his bill and asks for the payment. The interest, the bank borrowings are increasing, and on the other side, customers are getting unsatisfied because their commitments, the commitments given by these organizations are failing. So less and less orders are being processed as the future comes in. So there is a complete down cycle which the organization starts facing. See, this is what is happening. What we planned to do and what is happening now from this yellow dot to early downfall within the zone B, and the competitors start earning much better. Let's look at the solution now. What is the solution? Let's look at finding the bottleneck. Where is the bottleneck? Now, since we have put the system under stress, it must be failing somewhere. Let's look at that single point where it is failing. Let's find the bottleneck. In the supply chain, in the value chain, inventory before bottleneck is the highest. So we will often see when we take a walk in the value chain, you will find the value being locked before the bottleneck the highest. It's the simplest test which we can do. In the chain of activities, station before which inventory is stocked up, the station is the bottleneck. That's the simple step. I'll give you a simple example. If you keep your ears and eyes open on a day-to-day life, you will see this. Can you see now? This is a cash lane on a normal toll plaza. All those people who are going to go on cash payment, this line is a bottleneck. Everyone who has purchased a tag payment, they don't face any bottleneck. There is an excess capacity available. So this is a bottleneck station, this particular station, because this is a dedicated cash lane only. See the cash only system is there. You can easily identify this kind of a bottleneck. Okay, let's go to the next step. Step number 2. It is obviously not invest here. Often MSMEs or business people, they do this serious mistake. Just because government has or the funds are freely available for them, they just borrow it with a cost attached, big or less, smaller or less. They borrow it and they increase the bottleneck capacity. They install another machine of D here. No, that's not the correct step. There are capacity, there are possibilities which we can do within the organization to internally accrue the cash flow within itself. How? Let's look at it. We just look at the policies which are driving the organization. If a regular policy is to generate 10 units per time of production through D, what we tell this guy, hey partner, don't go to your lunch hour along with the other guys. You go when this guy gets free and he takes your position, the machine keeps running. This guy is trained how to run this machine D, and this machine doesn't stop anytime. This machine, if this person has to go and take a leave, there is a standby person available for running this machine. So this kind of exploitation of this capacity has to keep happening so that we get some extra capacity available, D plus D1 somewhere. I will give you some examples out here. Let's see. See, every other station, for them, the office has finished and they have gone home. But this lady is still working because there is some important aspect of the business to keep running for tonight. And unless and until that is happening, the next day's work is going to get stalled for every other station. So she is taking the exploitation aspect of the business. She is the bottleneck. She is facing it. She will have to do it. There is a policy change which is being happening here. Have a look at what happens at a exploitation station. This is a small video I am playing for some 50 odd seconds. Let's look at what is happening here. See, the machine is not stopping. So he's not caring about the wear and tear of the machine, the loading of the machine. The machine is being overloaded by simultaneously folding the chunk which is going inside. He is putting that the other ingredients within that same machine. But yes, the machine is not stopping. All the other workforce is also looking at him and helping him, but the machine is not stopping. Now, since all the exploitation, every drop which is coming out of that chunk is value generation part, he is exploiting it. Okay, so this is about how to exploit the bottleneck. It will give an additional of D1. As you see here, D plus D1 is the new capacity. After exploitation, the capacity increases to a new 12 units per time of production. This is often observed that 20% capacity is being is increased after exploitation, and now your profit generation capacity has been increased from 10 to 12. See, this station is defining how much profit is your organization going to generate. So exploitation increases capacity, impacting directly to the bottom line of the organization. Okay, now let's go to the step number 3, which is about subordinate all other organizational activities to the bottleneck. What are we doing here? We are telling partner, you have a KRA of, you have a machine of 20 units per time. You have to produce 20 units per time. Then only you can get your bonus. He says, okay, fine, good enough. I will do that. I have a machine. Give me raw material. I will process it and pass it on to. He has a KRA of 15 out of 15 production. He says, okay, I am getting 20. I will produce 20. He has a KRA of 15 out of 50. He says, okay, I'm getting 15. I will process 15. Accordingly, they are protecting their KRAs and their bonuses, and it is a human nature to do it so rightly on their part. But is this a correct organizational approach? Is this a correct alignment? No, possibly this is not the correct alignment so far as the organizational goal of generating money is concerned. Organization should focus upon what is going to generate money for the organization. Okay, what to do? The correct approach is everybody should produce what D plus D1, this station D wants it. He says how much of D plus D1 and which of D plus D1 he wants, and C produces that much, only the fastest. That is the correct KRA for C. Accordingly, B also aligns it to C, produce what C wants, the fastest, and A aligns itself to B's need, the fastest satisfaction, and he orders only that much to raw material supplier, nothing more, and the raw material suppliers the supply is only D plus D1, no 20 unit supply. In the bargain, what is happening is you are limiting this excess material generation or WIP generation, and you are controlling your costs within the organization, letting it the value chain to be intact, and the processes are getting done much faster. The end customers' orders are being satisfied much faster. Here also, nonetheless, to mention here is our orders are also not being taken more than D plus D1. Please understand, any order being taken more than 20, the orders will fail. Orders are being taken to the tune of D plus D1. Please focus on the orders customers need. He needs the orders on time in full or TIF. Okay. So the earlier KRA, older KRA is to produce 20 out of 20 for A, produce 15 out of 15 of B, C, and D, like this. In fact, for that matter, if you see, D was given a machine of 10 and he was being told to produce 15. And that's how the harmony is lost. There is a lot of friction out here. This guy has a KRA of 20, but he keeps on getting 10. So there is a lot of friction between these two. Now the new KRA will say supply 12 fastest to station B, supply 12 fastest to station C. He will ask obvious a question, what about the remaining capacity? He says, the management says, don't worry, keep it idle, please don't generate waste. So that's the correct implementation of any lean mechanism in my sense. So this is how we do subordination, the step number 3 in any organization. And this is very important so far as the MSMEs are concerned, which are trying to come out of their current situation by maintaining a good, healthy cash flow. Please, please, please do not invest any additional purchase. Please, you have avenues of producing more profit and more cash flow within the existing system. See, again, this is lost, and you can return this material, this funds back to your banks, saying that no, I am happy by producing less. I am rather doing a much better service to the end consumer. I have an excellent video of subordination. This will keep you engaged. Have a look at it. See, the organizational goal is to keep the car running on the road, on the race course, not to let it keep under the repair bay. So the fastest subordination happens, the organizational goal is achieved. So this is what exactly the KRAs are being said. The best performance is 1.91 seconds till date. This is the world record. Oh, I'm sorry, I can come out of. Okay. So this is how we do the subordination and increase the organizational profit. If you notice one important thing, till now we have not talked about any capex investment, or for that matter expenses. This is only about change in thinking process we are talking about. Till now no investment has happened. Thinking process, if you change, you have additional minimum guaranteed 30% increase in your profit, or for that matter increased cash flow within your existing system. Please have a look and remember us in case if you wish to have a look at your business. Let's look at subsequently what happens is there are 2 steps which I will quickly run through. They are not as yet important. You have to elevate the bottleneck capacity. Yes, the D2 also comes in picture. They need investment, and obviously it comes with the rider. The new capacity is definitely not D plus D1 plus, it is actually now B. The bottleneck has shifted, and please don't calculate your benefit based on this D plus D1 plus D2. The benefit or the profit will be, or the cash flow will be in tune with 15, that is B. So that's how we increase the capacity, And who get better with this? SME owners, a single man army who actually has to do a lot of multitask, focused on what not to do. That's the biggest gain which we are talking about here. Is being defining what is important for the organization at this moment. I will do that much. Focus is being brought in. Industries facing cash flow constraints will be immensely benefited. ERP implement. Pokarkar Sahab talked about digitization. We are talking ERP implementation with this approach. We will talk about it. Currently, the approach is if you have to go digitize on a digital platform, you got to buy and invest some 30 odd lakh rupees and just implement it on all the business verticals like HR, production, purchase, accounting, and what's not and whatsoever. No, it's not important. It's just important to implement ERP on the bottleneck first. Let it earn its own money. Please change ERP as a cost header, and it will accrue its own fundraising within itself. Okay, so startups are generally confused where to start from. We bring in focus, as I said earlier. CEOs, MDs get time to make better decisions by defocusing from the unnecessary things. This is a very important aspect. Profitability and increase simultaneously. It happens together. Lost organizational harmony can be re-established. As we talked about subordination, this is the gain out of subordination aspect. Next generation business entry is eased. Generally, if you see in the business model life cycle, generally the businesses are either on the pathway of B zone or a C zone, where the next generation is not interested to enter into the same business. If you keep your business reinventing on the yellow dot, which we saw, and on the same pathway arrow, next generation is always interested, and we can bring them interested in the same business of their forefathers. We do that bridging gap assignments as well. Okay, this is a classic example which we have as a case study. We did what we did is there is a company for which they had a complete disharmony existing. Two CEOs changed in recent times. CFO had resigned. Company harmony was at stake. The company financially was not doing good. So we thought to take it up as a case study. We did simple analysis. We had data on the Excel sheets, analysis of current inventory. We thought to have a look at the current inventory also worst. See, if you see, there was only this is a processing unit, by the way. The inventory is owned by the customer itself. So 4 days inventory was okay. Sales inventory ratio was somewhere around, the company used to do a 10 crore sale, against which for 22 lakh rupees inventory was existing. So it's not a major issue. No value locked in the process and is being followed. So no bottleneck in WIP. We check that. Analysis of a daily sales for past 365 days. When we mapped it across the weeks, what we found is last week of the month and the first week of the month, there was a dip. And yes, it was a significant dip. This August month has to be negated because it was there was some error. So the sales queue existed. Month beginning and month end sale is low. It definitely puts a pressure on the cash flow, but low touch time of 24 hours of processing balances out the stock pile up. So sale pattern can pose a bottleneck. Yes, definitely, but I don't think so. It is significantly much bigger. It is fairly flat also during the month. Let's keep it at park zone. We did an analysis of daily production for 365 days. There are furnaces. This company does heat treatment for forged items and other items for automotive, and they have multiple furnaces. We looked at the data. We did a lot of analysis. They have an excess capacity of furnaces. Have a look. this furnace is has been running uniformly. There are other furnaces which are going dry also during the year. They are sparingly being used. So there is no possibility of they falling short of processing capacity. So we said, okay, fine. There is no bottleneck in the processing capacity also. Analysis of age of debtors. We had a Excel sheet for that as well to look at the concern. Here we found some need. We analyzed and we found that if you see at this level, 24% debtor is greater than 180 days. So there is a lot of recovery pending. 33% of debtor is between slot of 120 to 180 days. 11% is between 60 to 90 days, and totaling to 70% of debtors in serious concern. So the company is under cash flow concerns, serious cash flow because of less or delayed recovery. Generally, the trend is after 90 days, if you have a debtor, generally the money doesn't come and the purchaser has identified another parallel supplier in comparison with your supplies, and you please forget your money out. That's an industry trend in steel industry. But yes, this company was into stress. We saw some patterns wherein I will take you through the real analysis now. See, this is when we implemented the ERP system. Our ERP is talked as it is named as ERPOC. That's the ERP system which we implement on the Bottleneck only. We don't go full-fledged ERP implementation across the organization so that to disturb the organization. No, we don't do that. We do ERP only to make sure that it adds upon into the profit of the organization. Just for the sake of implementation, we don't implement it. So what did it say? So before treating the constraint, this was the scenario. If you see less than 90 days, there was no zone. There was this bleak zone available of less than 90 days, but this bigger zone of blue was 150 to 180 days. There was this red zone of 90 to 120 days. And there was this chocolate zone was of 60 to 90 days. Very serious concern. And after treating the constraint through ERP, by putting the correct reports, the MIS, as Shandilya sir said, by putting this review system in the place, weekly reviews, putting the KRAs to collect the debtors on the salespeople, it brought in the focus part of actionables individually. And what happened subsequently, have a look at it. This is a total debtor. If you see 150 to 180 days, the biggest chunk has been lost. It is not existing at all. Then a lot of inventory has come in less than 30 days out here. 30 to 60 days is here. So, 30 to 60 days is here. So if you see, the debtors has been migrating back to the recency part. So this is a good movement, good chunk, and definitely the ERP implementation cost of somewhere around 4 to 5 lakh rupees is earning for itself within the organization. They are saving a lot of money by saving the interest cost, and they will be happy to pay for this ERP by diverting that interest being paid to the bankers instead to the IT department, to the implementer of ERP. So that's how we are creating a self-accrual person. Last two slides, have a look at before treating the constraint, region-wise outstanding split. Pune 30 to 60, this much. What I want to tell you is less than 30 days, nothing is there. And as we see, 150 to 180 days is here. And after, see these slides, these areas are shifting back and less than 30 days is increasing. So that is how it is. Last two slides, let's have a look at it. Before, this is in rupees lakhs. If you see, again, same pattern being seen. There is a lot of debtors on this slide, and the debtor is shifting back. So that brings to the end of this presentation from my side. Thanks for your opportunity, MSME Mantra. I hope we will be in a position to help you out further. Your queries are welcome on the chat box. We are noting it down. Thanks a lot.